Hello.
Hello.
Unmuted.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Great, you can hear me.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Mix of new and old. Great.
Hey guys, it's Adam.
Hi, Adam.
Yes, Richard, your hand is still up. It's at.
That was just to let you know I was here.
All right, thanks.
If I do *9, will it go down?
It should. We could give it a good test.
Testing now. No, it told me that you'll be informed again, so you'll have to kill it.
All right, done. Okay. I think that is. Okay, I think we have quorum. So we will give it a go. Let's see, Mike DeLazar.
Yes, sir.
Michael, could I trouble you, I suppose, one final time to help be a co-host and just keep an eye out for any more board members who may trickle in?
Sure, no problem.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Oh, and for future reference, Mr. President, I don't know who the president's going to be, but as a stakeholder, I'm going to wish to speak on 8A. I'll be brief.
You got it. Yeah, no worries. Well, that'll be up to the next president. So we'll give that out. But I've made a note, so I'm sure that'll get done. Okay. One more quick view of the attendees. I see Taylor Gottbetter raising a hand. Taylor, anything we can help you with before we get the show rolling?
Yes, I'm not, this is my first meeting that I've been able to attend, but I was just wondering, I wanted to make a statement about 9A, but is that something I'll just wait for that, but I wanted it known.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we'll have, no, not a problem. We'll have public comment before those agenda items, so not a problem. So I'm gonna lower your, thanks. Okay, all right, good, great. I see Gibson, so I'll just promote him. I think for the moment that is everybody. I don't see Alexa, so Michael, do you mind calling the roll? We'll call this meeting to order. It is now 7:04.
Okay, 2 seconds. Let me get the old board up. Richard Adams.
Short.
Brian Carroll.
Here.
Michael DeLazar here. Randy Freed.
Here.
Raduca Kaplan. Not here. Lisa Karagian.
Here.
Nancy Kramer. Not here. Alex is Vicky.
Here.
No Alex. Richard Niederberg.
I
Here.
could have sworn I saw him.
Here.
Yeah, Alex is here.
Alex is here. Okay. Jesse Porter.
Here.
Rick Rosner.
Here.
See him. Lana Shackelford.
Here.
Alexis Steinberg. Not here. And Adam Summer.
Here.
And quorum is established.
Great, thank you very much, Michael. Okay, item number 2, approval of the May minutes. I received a note from a stakeholder in the May minutes. There's an agenda item where it says opposes and supports. So I believe, if my memory serves, we said we supported, we approved. Are there any? Does anyone actually look at the meetings and see that?
Which item was that on?
Let me pull up my note. Sorry. That was on item number. Sorry, I should have had it. Scott, do you happen to recall which item it was that you emailed me about?
I think it was 12. It's item 12.
Yep, item 12 of the meetings. The notes say support /oppose. So I believe we supported it. Does anyone have any recollection on that motion?
That vote was on which, exactly what?
Let me pull up the exact wording. One moment. Pulling up, sorry. Okay, item 12 of the May minutes was, the motion was as following. This was regarding Sioux City Neighborhood Council supports, opposes the Cultural Heritage Commission, the CHC decision to nominate Weddington. We decided that we supported it. So,
Yeah, we supported it because it was like 3-1 comments in favor of supporting
right.
it.
So without objection, we'll just, in the notes, we'll strike the word opposes. Any objections? Hearing none, the minutes as amended regarding agenda item 12 to strike the word oppose. Okay, great. Number 3, President's comments. So it is hard to believe that 2 years have passed, especially since the last year was lather, rinse, repeat, at least in my house, with plus a global pandemic and legitimate fear for health. And so many of the boards stuck it out and stuck it through, and not only did that, went on to help fellow neighbors. And we pushed through and went virtual, and there were a lot of changes. I apologize for the plane overhead. So I want to say thank you. Thank you to this outgoing board. And thank you, of course, to the members that have been reelected. And really thank you to stakeholders. I think it's, we may have a long way to go, but I think that a lot was accomplished in community coming together to support one another in different ways during the past 2 years, especially though the last year of a pandemic. This weekend, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, you could argue that 2 Studio City stakeholders and even the SCNC participating in the Juneteenth walk, we were ahead of the national trend and ahead of the Senate declaring it a national holiday. So credit to Michael for really championing this for us, and to Erica Fox and the Pasha Sham for putting this on. I hope that you'll all, hopefully if the heat breaks, you'll all take a walk through and meet neighbors, learn a little bit about the history. So thank you again, Michael, and everyone involved. And with that, we will move to agenda item number 4, which is public comment on non-agenda items. So if you'd like to make a public comment on non-agenda items, please raise your hand now.
You just muted yourself,
Lost
Randy.
your audio, Randy.
Sorry. For public comment, you will be able to comment on non-agenda items within the neighborhood council's jurisdiction. So if you have a public comment, please raise your hand now.
That one.
Barry, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I would just like to say that for the new board, it would be very helpful for us stakeholders who, when we attend a regular in-person meeting, we know which board members are in the room listening to our comments. I would like the same for us to be able to see on the screen the board members that are participating. Because if you're not on the screen, we don't know if you're there listening. So it may not be a law or an ordinance, but I really wish you would do the stakeholders the courtesy of letting us know that you are on the screen and hearing what we're saying. Thank you.
Request?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to make sure to extend that last one. If I can just get all the correct spelling and the correct names of everybody, we can have placards, hopefully for next month, so that you'll be able to connect a face with a name.
Sure, that's fine. I'm happy to provide you with that. Not a problem. Okay.
Yeah, the vendor for that is over in North Hollywood.
Great. Seeing no other hands for public comment on non-agenda items is closed. So once again, thank you to those that have served. I've enjoyed meeting all of you, agreeing. Frankly, some of the disagreeing has been enjoyable, although perhaps sometimes challenging. You got angry at me or vice versa. I actually don't think I ever got angry at anyone. But I hope that since we're all still neighbors and connected, that I'm always happy to meet anyone for a cup of coffee. And I hope you will continue to stay engaged in the community in some way, if not with the SCNC, but hopefully with the SCNC, and help us continue to try to make our corner of the valley just a bit better. With that,
Randy, I'm sorry.
Randy, did you say there's? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Lana.
I was just going to say, we have our budget advocate with us for a report, and I thought, Brandon is here. Maybe the space would be public comment. Is that?
I mean, if you want to squeeze it into 2 minutes, sure. But to be fair, his hand wasn't raised during public comment.
Oh, okay.
So I'll leave it to the next, because I'll notice that we don't have government comments. But if he has something to say, we'll figure that out. The next
Randy,
person will figure that out.
I don't know how it's going. Have our hands in between boards, but is this public comment and board member comment open to non-agenda items real quick? Because I have a direct question for Gibson if he's around. I think would benefit everybody.
Gibson is on. Sure, if you'd like to. So Lana, we heard from you. Adam, Gibson, Adam has a question for you.
Okay, so Gibson, I talked to the city clerk and I talked to quite a few stakeholders about how our particular, I know every neighborhood council board has different ballots, but our ballots particularly, they said when you were listing a residential seat, renter's seat, homeowner's seat, business, it would say, please vote for 2, or please vote for 4, please vote for 3. And everybody that was a stakeholder who was my friend reached out to me and said, do I have to vote for 3? Obviously, individuals who are involved in local level governance or governance at the city's, county, or state level would know that that's not what you have to do. But people were very confused by it, including board members. I mean, it looked like it was a directive to vote for that number. Why did the city clerk's office, or why did your office decide to word the ballot that way?
In terms of voting for giving stakeholders, they could, based off of sort of how the bylaws and the board is structured here, right? The board stakeholders can vote up to.
Yeah, no, but why did it say vote up to 2? Why did it say vote for 2? Because that is a confusing directive. It should have said vote for up to 2, vote for up to 3. I know it's something that we understand as individuals who, understand local level governance, but I heard from so many people, do I have to vote for 3? Do I have to vote for 2? Do I have to vote for 4? So I'm sure a lot of people voted for people they didn't even know for no apparent reason. And I think that definitely skews the results significantly.
Good point. It's something that can definitely follow up. I don't have a good sort of answer at this moment, but that could be something that can be done as an assessment for the upcoming board, so we can figure out what's the best way forward for future elections.
And is that a city clerk's office issue, or is that a Dunn office issue? Because I know each ballot
the city clerk is the one that administers the election. So yes, they will be the ones in charge of the ballot, but it's something we can definitely follow up, because there will be a follow-up in regards to how neighborhood council elections are held. A council file was introduced by Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez that kind of looked at sort of the voting processes for all neighborhood council systems. I'll provide a council file for that one, but it's definitely something that the board is going to, it's what the city council is looking at to help sort of figure out what's the best way to streamline neighborhood councils elections in the future.
I just think we should kind of address it to like the lowest common denominator.
I think Adam, your comments are well taken, and we can follow that up with the clerk's office and with Dunn. Michael, I see your hand up. Yes, Richard Adams, hold on. Let's go
very quick. And I know Adam doesn't really like history, but I'd like to point out that he makes a very valid point.
Richard, let's try to.
Shut up.
Adam Summer has given his point. Has asked his question. Gibson has answered.
No.
We'll let that.
Let me finish, please.
We'll let them pick. Respectfully, okay. we have a whole agenda, so I just would like to remove. I apologize for muting you, Richard, but I'd like us to be able to actually move forward because we're definitely off topic of our agenda. Okay. Michael Lazar, you had your hand up.
Mr. Adams, I think I'm just going to say, Mr. Adam, Richard, if you have my contact information, if you want to send me an email, we can definitely follow up in regards to some of the issues. Adam, we can do the same thing, so we could just touch base after.
Michael DeLazar?
Yes, thank you. Just a quick plea to folks out there. Tomorrow, we are chalking the streets for the Juneteenth walk, 4 p.m. at the corner of Aqua Vista and Camellia. Meet us there. We will be going around and marking the streets for the weekend walk. To the new board members, this is an opportunity for you all to meet people who you serve. Come out to the Juneteenth walk, say hello at the start-finish line. You can hang out there. It's going to be going for 3 days from dawn to dusk. Pick a little time slot, come out, meet and greet some people. It's kind of like... It's a freebie for you. You don't have to do any of the work. Just greet the people. So take advantage of it. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Okay. So where were we? No, back to the next agenda item, which is the seating of the new board. So once more, thank you to the outgoing board. With that, the outgoing board is dismissed. Committees and their committee chairs are also dismissed. We are going to move forward with the election of a new board president. So with that, if we can.
Hey Randy, are we doing the roll call for the new board seat, right?
Oh yes, let's do roll call first. Sorry. So I'll just go down the list. I'm here. Jeff Hartwick. Here. Peggy Velasco. Here. See a hand. Andrew Silver.
Here.
Good evening. Kim Clements.
Here.
Adam Summer.
Here.
Brandon Marino.
Here.
Julie Houlihan.
Here.
Scott Mandel.
Present.
Lisa Karajian,
Here.
Laura Kararian,
Here.
Richard Niederberg,
Here.
Karen Sorrow,
Here.
and Ira Gold.
Present.
Great, everyone is here.
Mr. President, just I know we definitely don't have an opportunity to physically meet one another and sort of do the procedural oath for neighborhood council oath. I wanted to see if we can definitely take the opportunity before we now appoint the new president to just kind of do a quick oath. And if folks want to follow me, I could definitely, that would be appreciated. Want to see if you guys are okay with that. And Mr. President, is it okay? Randy, can I please share the screen? I just want to put the neighborhood council oath.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give me one quick second and I will do that. One second. Okay, go ahead. You should be able to share your screen.
Hi there, for the newly elected board members. I hope everybody's able to see my screen. I'm gonna sort of just go a little higher to be, there we go. So everybody, please repeat after me. I pledge to represent my neighborhood with dignity, integrity, and pride.
I pledge
to represent my neighborhood with dignity, integrity, and pride.
Integrity and pride.
I will encourage other points of view even when they differ from my own.
I
I will encourage other points of view even when they differ from my own.
I will respect, value, and consider everyone's opinions.
I will
Respect, value, and consider everyone's opinion.
I will find the good in my neighborhood and praise it and promote it.
I will find the good in my neighborhood and praise it and promote it.
To my neighbors and to neighborhoods throughout the city of Los Angeles.
To my neighbors
and
neighborhoods
throughout the city of Los Angeles.
I pledge to do this to the best of my ability.
I pledge to do this to the best of my ability.
Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. Virtually welcome to the neighborhood council process. I'm glad that everybody's on board. I am your neighborhood empowerment advocate, so I am the point of contact. Most of you, everybody should have received an email from me providing instructions on how to sort of jump on getting neighborhood council trainings in regards to getting your code of conduct, your funding, and your ethics training. It's part of the process. Just want to let everybody know that the department is offering a module training on Monday, June 21st. It will be in the evening. So if folks want to jump in and get familiar with participating with the neighborhood council process, just get comfortable as to how sort of it takes to participate, what are the challenges, how does it take to participate on the board, understanding some of the processes that we work with, understanding the parliamentary procedure that we work with, just so you can get familiar with the neighborhood council system and how we give a good history of how the neighborhood council system was created, where the department plays a role within the neighborhood council system, and your functions as a board for this, as a board member for the Studio City Neighborhood Council. And with that, we are definitely going to go to the next item, which is the election of a new board president. Is there a motion to discuss? Is there a motion? We're going to bring the motion for discussion and action.
Sure. So make a motion to elect the next president.
And is there a second? Okay. With that, we're definitely going to open it up. If folks, new board members, returning board members, this is an opportunity to elect a new president per the Studio City Neighborhood Council bylaws after the new board is seated. You can nominate yourself or you can nominate someone, and then we can take 1 or 2 minutes of public comment and just take a quick inquiry from stakeholders and take questions, and then the board will take action to appoint the new elected president. And with that, is there nominations?
I nominate Randy Fried as president.
I second.
Any other nominations? You can nominate yourself too.
I'll nominate myself for land use.
When we get there, we'll definitely do that. Ms. Lisa.
Sure, just jumping ahead here.
I like that. Anybody else? With that, are there stakeholders who only provide public comment on this matter? If you are calling in from your phone, please press the *9 feature or use the raise hand feature within the Zoom. So we will be going through the attendee list. Let me see. First person I'm gonna ask to mute. Oh, but sorry about that. Sorry. First person in the last numbers was 008.
Oh, I had my hand raised accidentally for the other item. I have no comments on the board officer elections at all.
Thank you, good
I'll
sir.
mute myself now.
Hi there. The last number of 018. Did you want to provide public comment in this motion?
No, I just wanted to see everybody on the screen again, and somebody just made that happen. So thank you.
Hi there, Ms. Kira. Go ahead.
Hi, Kira Durbin, stakeholder, previously served on the Homelessness Committee, calling in support of Randy Freed as president. I can personally say that he's always treated me with respect and kindness. Anytime I have a question, he gets back to me. Anytime I need help with something, he gets back to me. He's a very generous, patient, and kind person. Thank you.
With that, I see no other public comment. And with that, we are definitely going to do a roll call vote for the nomination of Randy Freed as the president of Studio City Neighborhood Council. Randy, I'm going to ask you for your help again in taking roll call on this one.
Sure, not a problem. Jeff Hartwick?
Yes.
Peggy Lasco? See a head nod of a yes. Andrew Silver?
Yes.
Kim Clements?
Yes.
Adam Summer?
Yes, definitely.
Brandon Marino?
Yes.
Julie Houlihan?
Yes.
Scott Mandel?
Yes.
Lisa Karajian?
Yes.
Laura Kararian?
Yes.
And myself, I guess I'll say yes. Even if I said no, I think I'd lose. No, but
That's
thank you very
important.
much. No, it is important. So with that, it carries. So really thank you to everyone for the vote of confidence. I appreciate it. We will continue with the election of the remaining officers. Is there a motion to, so we can nominate any vice presidents?
Anyone want to be vice president?
I'll nominate myself, Scott Mandel.
Oh, okay.
I will second that.
Is there anyone else that would like to either nominate someone or nominate themselves? Seeing no hands, hearing no voices, is there any public comment? Public comment is now open as it relates to the position of Scott Mandel for VP. Please press *9 on your phone if you're dialing in. Raise your hand. Phone number ending in 008. Richard Adams, go ahead.
I just noticed that the nomination was garbled, but yeah, Scott Mandel would be a good guy to have as VP. Hope that isn't the kiss of death.
Patrice Berlin, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I agree. I think Scott would be a great asset to the board.
Peter Cole.
Yes, 4 thumbs up for Scott Mandel for vice president.
Thank you, Peter. Is there any other public comment as it relates to position of vice president? Seeing no other comments, we will do a roll call vote for Vice President with the nomination or really approving Mendel's VP. So, Randall Green, yes. Jeff Hartwick.
Yes.
Peggy Glasgow.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Andrew Silver.
Yes.
Ooh, Andrew Silver, you got a yes.
Patrice, you are not muted. One moment. Kim Clements. Kim?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I can now. Thanks. Adam Summer.
Yes.
Brandon Marino.
Yes.
Julie Houlihan.
Yes.
Scott Mandel.
Affirmative.
Lisa Karajian.
Yes.
Laura Kararian.
Yes.
Great. Scott Mandel, congratulations. You are the VP. Oh, I'm not done yet. Richard Niederberg.
Yes.
Karen Sorrow.
Yeah, I guess.
Is that a yes?
Yeah, okay.
Ira Gold.
Yes.
Great. Congratulations, Scott. You are the Vice President of Sioux City Neighborhood Council. Moving right along to Treasurer. Such an important role. So, would anyone like to Lisa, are you ducking out of the screen? No. Who would like to be treasurer? Or would like to nominate themselves or someone else? It really is. It's an unsung hero position. The NC cannot work without its budget, and so certainly you can get help along the way, but you have to be has to be a willingness to do the work. And this is one of those roles where the rubber really does meet the road. So, any takers? Don't all jump and shout at once.
I guess I'll raise my hand. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Okay. So, Karen, I will happily second that. Okay. Anyone else for the role of treasurer?
I'll throw my name in the hat.
Is that you, Kim?
Yes.
Okay, just make sure I'm hearing the right person. Okay. Anyone care to second Kim? Anyone?
Second.
Okay, I heard 2 seconds. Was that Brandon and Adam?
Jeff.
Jeff, sorry, Jeff. Apologies. Okay, so we'll put a pin in that for a moment. Public comment on the role of treasurer. Public comment. Press *9 if you want to dial in. Phone number ending in 008. Richard Adams, go ahead. Richard.
Oh, okay. I heard rambling in the background. I'd just like to point out that while the role of treasurer is very important, there have been many changes over the last few years that have made the job a whole hell of a lot easier than it was when I first got involved in the neighborhood council. And that as long as the treasurer takes their training and stays on top of things, submitting things timely, it doesn't have to be a massive time suck. So it is very important if we ever get back to having events, etc. So I salute those that are volunteering to take on the very necessary duty. Thank you.
Brandy,
Mute yourself, Brandy.
Sorry, that was an error.
No, it's
on
okay.
my part.
Go ahead, Barry. Oh, it was an error on your part. Nothing to say.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. We have Jeff Korber. Go ahead.
Hi, it's actually Adele. I keep trying to change my name. but it's
I'll
Adele
change it
Stock.
for you. I'll change it for you right now. Go ahead, Adele.
Thanks. So when I was listening to you all, there's some feedback. Can people turn off their sound?
Yeah, Summer, you got to mute yourself.
Yeah. So when I was listening to everyone and voting on people, I was impressed by Kim Clements and her history with being an executive and dealing with money and budgets and so forth, which is one of the reasons I voted for her, because I had her in my mind as the treasurer. So I am in support of Kim's nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Adele.
Yeah, actually, Randy, may I?
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
If we could hear from both nominees to just say a few words about themselves and their background and what they can lend to the treasurer role, that would be really great for us to know who to really vote for.
Sure. Is there any other public comment? We'll button that up and then sure, absolutely, Lisa.
Thanks.
Seeing no other hands for public comment on agenda item 7B for treasurer, public comment is now closed. Karen, take it away. You're welcome to take give yourself 2 minutes. And
Sure. I guess I'm running because I come from an ethical background. I've run budgets. I'm familiar with nonprofits and and I'm very transparent. That's why I'm running. So.
Thank you, Karen. And Kim?
I work in finance. Currently, my background is an MBA with accounting emphasis. So that is my formal education. It is not currently what I'm doing, but I'd like to do more of it. So I thought this would be a great way to put all that into practical purpose.
Great. Thank you. So with that, we'll give it a vote. So first we'll do vote for
The point of information, Mr. President, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes,
sir.
Asking Kim Clements, you don't currently work in any financing that might pose a conflict of interest, correct?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So good question, Brandon. Thank you. So we will give this a vote. So start the voting for Karen. Jeff Hartwick.
No.
Peggy. Peggy?
No.
No. Andrew Silver.
Karen, thank you very much for volunteering for this important position, but I think I'm going to swing my vote for Kim. But thank you very much for stepping up.
So that's a no, Andrew?
Correct.
Can I drop out at this point? Because it's okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Sure. Okay. So Karen's dropping out. We'll start the vote again then for Kim. Jeff.
Yes.
Peggy.
Yes.
Andrew Silver.
Yes.
Kim, assume you're voting for yourself?
Yes. Correct.
Correct. Adam Summer.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
No, it's okay. Your dog is very excited for the treasurer role as well. Brandon.
Rough. I mean, yes.
Julie. Julie Houlihan.
Yes.
Thank you. Scott Mandel.
Yes.
Lisa Karajian.
Yes.
Laura Kararian.
Yes.
Richard Niederberg.
Yes, and I'll be happy to introduce the treasurer to the idiosyncrasies of the city clerk's finance office.
Karen Sorrow,
Yes. Mhm.
Ira Gold,
Yes, and Kim and Karen, thank you both for volunteering.
Congratulations, Karen. You are now the treasurer for the SCNC. Thank you, Kim. Pardon me. Thank you so much to both of you, though, for stepping forward. Next, we have the secretary. Any nominations for the role of secretary?
I nominate Lana.
Lana is no longer on the board.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm sure Lana appreciates your vote of confidence.
Yes,
Nancy,
thank
can I
you.
nominate-
Thank you very much.
Where's Nancy at when we need her?
Yeah.
You need 2 secretaries.
That is correct. Brandon, are you a good note taker? Any interest? I'd love to nominate you if you'd accept it.
Yes. Okay. I'll take it.
Okay. Is there a second for the nomination?
Second, Ira Gold.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else care to throw their hat in the ring? Don't jump all at once. I see you're all so excited. With that, we'll give it a vote. Jeff. Oh, pardon me, actually. Forgive me. We'll do public comment on the role of secretary. If you are on a dial-in, please press *9. Role of secretary, public comment. Go ahead, Barry Johnson.
Yeah, I got ahead of myself. That was for 7D.
Got it. Okay. Seeing no other public comment as it relates to the role of secretary, public comment is now closed. We will now vote. Brandon Marino, Jeff Hartwick,
Yes.
Peggy,
Yes.
Andrew Silver,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Adam Summer,
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
Richard Niederberg, Richard,
Who are you asking for?
I'm asking you to vote in favor of,
Yes.
or against.
There's 2 secretaries.
Great, thank you very much.
Voting yes.
And well, so far we're just on Brandon for secretary. Karen
Yes. Mhm.
and Ira Gold.
Yes.
Great. The role, of course. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Brandon, for taking my nomination to be secretary. Moving right along to the corresponding secretary. Would anyone care to volunteer to nominate themselves for the role of corresponding secretary for our board?
I'll step up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hartwick. I will happily second. Anyone else? Okay, hearing no or seeing no hands or hearing no voices, we'll do public comment on 7D corresponding secretary. Go ahead, Barry Johnson. You had a comment regarding this role. Barry?
Hi. Yes, this is a very important position because as a board, anything that you vote on, which is always just a suggestion, it's not law, but it's a suggestion to our city council, our state legislature, our county board of supervisors. But unless the corresponding secretary in conjunction with the president, get your actions sent out, those government bodies never will know what your wishes are. So as Michael and Alexa, former board members, can attest to how important this role is, it literally gets the voice of your votes out to the government bodies in the state of California. And once in a while, we've even done something to our senators and our representative, Brad Sherman. So thank you.
Thank you, Barry. With that, we'll give it a vote for Jeff as a corresponding secretary. Jeff, got a vote for yourself?
Yes.
So
Peggy.
Randy, are you voting?
Yes.
You haven't been calling yourself, so have you been
Yeah,
voting?
You're right. I called myself the first two, but I haven't called myself since. You are correct. So my apologies. I do vote yes for everyone. So I will make that note. Thank you for pointing that out. Peggy Velasco. Yes. Andrew Silver.
Yes.
Yes. Kim Clements.
Yes, sorry. Yes.
No, it's okay. Adam Summer.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Julie.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Lisa Kay.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Richard Niederberg.
Yes.
Karen.
Yes. Yes.
Very excited. Up next to you, Ira Gold.
Yes.
Congratulations, Jeff. Thank you very much for volunteering. You are now our corresponding secretary. Agenda item 7E, the president may appoint committee chairs. So I'll just speak to this for one quick second. In the past, on the very same night that presidents have been elected, they have former committee chairs and their committees have been disbanded. And then very much in many ways, like a rubber stamp, have simply said, okay, now you're all reappointed. When I was elected president last year, I really wanted to take a beat. Our bylaws say may appoint committee chairs, and I took the opportunity to wait on appointing chairs until the following month. The reason being twofold. One is to see which current chairs actually are interested in continuing forward in their role, which committee chairs have done a good job, I would say, in the sense of whoever that president is, as well as approval for the board and kind of talking that through. And then finally, trying to engage other stakeholders that may have done the role in the past and/or who are just simply interested in greater involvement. So with that being said, as it relates to committee chairs, I am inclined to do the same that I did when I was elected the first time last year, which is to appoint committee chairs in our next meeting. I can say that there are some committee chairs that I've been in touch with, some that I haven't, that I think are great, are doing the work, know the job, and I hope that they will continue. But there are also committee chairs that are not continuing in the coming year. And so there needs to be some changes as well. So hopefully everyone will, if there's any board comments on that, or if there's the public comment, I should say. So first, if there's any public comment on me delaying the appointment of committee chairs until our July meeting, or just in general, please raise your hand now. *9 if you're on a dial-in. Peter Cole, go ahead.
I totally agree with your decision. As you remember, you and I butted heads about a particular committee chair. And I have to agree with you, your decision was right, even though I was pushing the other way. So also, I have some views on some committees. I'd like to express that to you and the board in an email. and
Sure.
the rest of the public would too. So I think it's a good decision.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any other public comments on this agenda item?
Yes.
Richard Nieberg, go right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to continue being second signer and card holder. We have to buy some food for Juneteenth pretty soon, so I got to have the authority.
Yes, thank you, Richard. Although that's not an agenda item, yes, unless there's an issue with from done, you are more than welcome to continue at this time as our card holder. Any other public comments on this agenda item? Seeing no hands, public comment is closed. Any other board comment? Yes, Lisa.
Hey, sorry, Randy, I did
Karaji.
actually have my hand up. I wonder if I could quickly make a comment.
Oh, yes, I apologize. Apologize, Jesse. Go ahead.
Thank you. I think it might be helpful to our stakeholders and our new board members and continuing board members if you could take an opportunity now to share with us what you do know about who plans to continue and who has expressed that they don't intend to continue as committee chairs.
Sure, Jesse. I think that's a fair question. So we'll start at the top, I guess. In terms of outreach, Michael DeLazar has been our committee chair. I think that he has given, I mean, to say, it goes without saying, at least in my opinion, he has gone above and beyond, and even when pressed with big jobs and professional commitments, he has really put his all and a lot of heart into the last 2 years. He has stated, though, unless somehow I could convince him without getting in a lot of trouble with probably with him and his wife, I would, as much as I would love for him to continue, my understanding is he will not be continuing as our outreach chair. In terms of our homelessness committee, Steve Johnson, as many of you may or may not know, he's currently running. He officially launched a campaign to run for Council District 13, Mitchell Farrell seat, in a council election. And so, understandably, although he is very thankful for his experience here in Studio City, he will be returning to his council district, specifically as he campaigns for LA City Council. So he will not be continuing. As many of you know, in terms of public safety, Rachel Tobias, who was the previous committee chair, stepped down. Very unfortunate due to, I would argue, being heckled and bullied off. So she is not continuing. There are a couple different people that have expressed interest, and I'm also hoping to just talk to see if there are other volunteers or people in the community that might be interested. That goes for all committees. Cultural Affairs, Richard Niederberg has expressed his interest in continuing, and out of respect for him, I just want to have a clarifying conversation before I make a decision. Lisa Karajian has volunteered yet again to take the arguably sometimes very thankless job of being our land use chair. She knows the material and puts in a lot of hard work, and it is not for the faint of heart, quite frankly, because issues of land use sometimes are the most polarizing issues in our community. And I thank Lisa, and I am appreciative and hope she will continue. She has expressed that interest, so I hope she will. But she and I will talk and confirm that, although she did already say she'd like to. And I'll say thank you for all the hard work you've put in. Let's see, government affairs. Barry Johnson, we had someone that was interested but never really started, that courtesy of COVID, and I would argue some bullying. Again, being a committee chair isn't always the easiest work. Barry Johnson steps forward. He obviously is currently chairing 2 committees. That's a lot of work. And so it's in debate if he would actually do that. I think Transportation Committee for sure. He has voiced interest in continuing in that role. I think he's done a great job. I know that he constantly is picking up issues of stakeholders. And so I know many stakeholders are appreciative of his work. I know there are some naysayers, but I find that to be very far and few between. But again, half the battle is showing up and doing the work. So if he's willing, hopefully he will continue in that role. As for government affairs, he and I are currently talking about that. We'll see if people from the community or a board member perhaps wishes to volunteer and get their sea legs under them and work on that very important committee. Let's see, I'm bouncing around. Bylaws, our bylaw committee, that committee chair was Nancy Kremer, our former vice president. She is not interested in continuing as the committee chair, so we will need a committee chair for our bylaws committee. Let's see, what committees am I missing? Budget, we will need a committee chair for budget. I have not spoken with Alana if she would be interested in continuing as budget chair, so that remains to be seen. And or again, if there's a board members have to be on committee, so if there is a willingness there for a board member to get involved, that's great. So let's see, did I cover? Am I missing anything? Budget, bylaws, cultural affairs, government affairs, transportation. I think that round public safety.
Youth.
I think that youth committee. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. JJ Hoffman joined us, really thanks to Nancy Kremer helping JJ get off to the races. He put together a youth committee. He is here tonight, even when arguably he had other things happening, and I gave him an out. And I said, don't worry about it. Yet here he is, and I really appreciate that. And if he is willing to continue, quite frankly, I will tell the board we are all lucky to have JJ joining us, and I'd argue he's probably further along than all of us were at his age, being so involved, willing to jump in and be involved and talk local community politics and improving the community. So hopefully, but I have not confirmed this with JJ. If he nods yes, maybe we'll take that as the affirmative. I saw a slight nod there. So thank you. Sustainability. Thank you. I just got a text of the one committee I was visiting. Sustainability was, there was a chair. There were actually two kind of co-chairs. As some may know or may not know, that last chair, the challenge sometimes of being a chair in an advocacy role is that one's personal advocacy begins to trump the needs of that committee, and recognizing that the committee should be responsive in a respectful manner to all stakeholders, whether they agree or disagree. And so because of that disagreement, I had removed that chair, the co-chair at that time. The remaining co-chair, Rituka Kaplan, due to personal commitments, felt she could not continue. So we will need a sustainability committee chair. So lots of committee chairs to fill. So hopefully if you or you know someone, whether you're a previous board member, stakeholder listening, etc., would love to get you involved in another important committee of sustainability for the community. So that is, thank you, Jesse, for the question. And that's kind of my thinking around and what's an update, if you will, happening around committee chairs. But all that said, everything will be finalized, I hope, and announced in July, and will, or if not before. And are there any other board comments on that? Richard Niederberg, I see your hand up. Richard, your hand's up. You're muted now.
Unmute yourself, Richard. Richard, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I can't do it, Richard.
What do you wish? I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go. Okay, Richard, you're unmuted.
I'm not muted.
I'm saying you're unmuted. Go ahead. Was there something you wanted to say?
No.
Oh, your hand was up. Okay, sorry about that. All right, no problem. Brandon.
Yeah, a question. And has the Studio City Neighborhood Council ever had a parliamentarian? maybe on the side, just in case it was a Robert's Rule question. I know Barry chimed in earlier, Barry Johnson chimed in earlier about being able to see every single board member. And I know the Robert's Rules have been relaxed because of COVID, but he made a very good point that if you were actually present in a room, you would be able to see every single board member. So do we have someone, maybe not a permanent, not an actual nominated position, but someone who knows the rules very, very well that we can consult once in a while?
Well, so our former vice president, Nancy Kremer, actually by trade is a parliamentarian. And she actually did in a Robert's Rules of Order class for those new board members and members that were interested. So hopefully she would be willing to give of her time to us again. That's not confirmed. Also, it's worth noting that Robert's Rules of Order is not the primary set of rules that we go by. When our bylaws and our operating procedures and city policies, if all of those other policies are silent on a matter, then as the backstop, we would look to Robert's Rules of Order. But otherwise, our bylaws, our operating procedures, city requirements coming from Dunn or Bonk, those would supersede Robert's Rules of Order. But it's a great question, and I'm sure you and I could talk offline. Happy to see if we want to set up a training to that effect or something. And if there's enough people interested, we can see if Nancy would be willing to do that for us. Okay, I do see a hand up. So you want to make sure I don't miss it. Patty, did you have something to say?
Yes, hello everybody. I just wanted to, once you have a committee chair appointed for each committee in July, I would like to know which board members are going to be participating in those committees. So we know that all board members are indeed participating. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Patty. Yeah, it's a good point that obviously all board members need to be a part of a committee. And I'm sure my hope is that I will have the opportunity that between now and our next meeting, I'll get to touch base with all of you, whether it's for a phone call, whether it's over a cup of coffee, if you feel comfortable with that, or if you even like coffee. It could be tea, kombucha, whatever, a boba, I don't know, whatever it might be. And just get to know each other a little bit, as well as talk about what your interests are and see how I can help you in that. And I'm sure the other re-elected board members are happy to do that as well. And so with that, we'll move to agenda item number 8A, which is from the Transportation Committee. So just a little note on the remaining items on our agenda for tonight. 8 and 9 are motions that were originally agendized in the last meeting, but because the last meeting went rather long, the chair was kind enough to allow me to push those to this meeting so that the board wasn't staying up until 1 in the morning. So with that, Barry Johnson, if you don't mind, okay, so you're already unmuted. We will take the Transportation Committee agenda items. Take it away.
All right, we have one motion and just a bit of background for you on this first. This is a motion supporting a city council resolution supporting Assembly Bill AB 122, which would amend the California Vehicle Code to allow bicycle riders to treat stop signs as yields. Now, it may seem crazy, but the ability to yield at stop signs has been shown to improve cyclist safety. In Paris, for example, where a version of this was in place, it was found that allowing the cyclist to move more freely cut down on the chances of collisions with cars, including accidents involving the car's blind spot. So your Transportation Committee decided to support this and bring it to the board for a vote. If you look on the council file, there are also 2 other neighborhood councils so far supporting this. So I'll read the motion. The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, supports Council File 21-002-S70, a City Council resolution supporting Assembly Bill 122, AB 122 in parentheses, to amend the California Vehicle Code Section 22450 to allow riders of bicycles and electric bicycles to treat stop signs as yield signs. This motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement to Council File 21-002-S70.
Okay, with that, before we vote, if we can have, we'll now open up public comment. Public comment on agenda item 8A. If you'd like to make public comment is now open. Please raise your hand. I see a hand raised by phone number ending in 008. Richard Adams, go ahead.
Alrighty, I'm happy for the people in Paris, France. I'm one of the few people probably involved in this meeting tonight who's been hit by a car, both as a pedestrian and as a bicyclist. And I also drive and I observe what's going on around me. If bicycles under California Motor Vehicle Code are considered motor vehicles, by allowing bicycle riders who are already out of control, shall we say, to just blow through stop signs, I guarantee you, they will get hit, they will get run over, and Mayor Grostowski's, was it something zero plan will not happen, never happen. This, in a state which is famous for idiotic ideas and stupid laws, this one takes the takes the cake. No, vote against this. If the bicycle rider you save may be a friend of yours, and you may be the driver who doesn't run over some idiot on a bicycle because they weren't paying attention. They blew through a stop sign and you had no warning, and there they were in front of you. Do it for yourself, do it for your neighbors, do it for your community. Obey the damn laws when you're riding a bicycle or driving a car. Thank you.
Taylor, go ahead.
I believe that anything we can do that would encourage cycling is a boon for the community, seeing that cyclists spend more in local communities. Allowing cyclists to act as cyclists rather than motor vehicles, which they are not, I think is just common sense.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands for public comment on agenda item 8A, public comment is now closed. So moving to, oh, sorry. Well, Mark, your hand, yep, sorry, just under the wire. Please go ahead, Mark.
I'd like to form a comment in the form of a question. So, as things are, bicyclists already do disregard stop signs, and I have to be very watchful of them as I'm going down Moore Park Street. And I know that as things are, because I'm in the larger vehicle, it's my liability. This will just exacerbate that. So I'm going with the first commenter and opposing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no more hands as it relates to public comment on agenda item 8A, public comment is now closed. Board comments. Any board comments? Look at that. Okay, Brandon, you were quick on the trigger. Go right ahead.
Well, originally I was against this. It says bicycles, but somewhere I read electric vehicles too. I'm reading the bill right now. It doesn't say electric vehicles, so maybe I misread it. But one thing that I did not know previously is that they are going to ask Commissioner of the California Highway Patrol to submit a report on or before January 1st, 2027 regarding how this is going on, how this is it's working, it's not working, having a positive effect, adverse effect. This is only up until 2028, and then they'll revisit it. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I kind of agree with Richard that this is a ambulance chaser's dream, but I would like to see how this is going to proceed. And they do have the Commissioner of the California Highway Patrol looking at this and keeping an eye on everything. So I'm going to vote for it, and let's see what happens.
Thanks, Brandon. Julie, go ahead.
Okay. So, Barry, I just want to say that I respect so much that the work you do and how much you participate. Thank you so much. And I hate that the very first thing that I'm going to vote on, I'm going to vote against what you're proposing. I actually read this. I went online. I even watched the link of the guy that did the proposal about it. And I think that this could work in certain places. However, I think Studio City is just too dense. I've actually had an accident with a bicyclist. I've talked to a few friends who have also had accidents with bicyclists. And I don't think it's safe for our neighborhood. And I also think it's a major liability for drivers, because how do you let the drivers know that the rules have changed? You know, how do people know, oh, they don't have to stop anymore? And you're pulling up to a stop sign and you think they're going to stop, and you drive. And because of the new law, you hit them, then it's your fault. I just don't think I'm ready for that. So sorry, but I think I'm going to vote against it.
Thank you. Scott, go ahead.
Hi, I also want to thank Barry for bringing this. I have a different view. This isn't really going to change anything. This is going to codify the behavior of cyclists as the world is today. And yield does not mean cyclists get to blow through stop signs. It means they have to slow down and stop if necessary, if there's a car or a pedestrian or somebody else with the right of way. When there's nobody else there, the cyclist is allowed to then proceed and go through the stop sign. They're doing that now. They're going to do that regardless of this law. And with everything that this state and this city has already decriminalized, it just kind of beggars belief that we're really going to expect cyclists to come to a full stop at a stop sign rather than what they call an Idaho stop, where you roll, you look, and if it is safe, you then proceed. That's what it says. And all of the people that have had trouble with cyclists, they also go through red lights. They also text, they crash into people. This doesn't change that, nor does it change people driving cars going through stop signs and texting while they're on the phone. Give the cyclist a shot. And as it might have been Brandon who said, it's going to be studied to see what happens from it. And we need to encourage more cycling. And it's our responsibility, the cyclists, to be safe. Thanks.
Point of information, Mr. President, if I may.
Sir.
I'm reading Councilmember Blumfield's resolution right here. It does mention to exempt riders of bicycles and electric vehicles from the requirements to come to a full stop at a stop sign, but would require persons riding a bicycle, including an electric bicycle, to yield the right of way. Electric vehicles, I'm sure they don't mean the scooters. I think they mean the electric bicycles, but there are pay-as-you-go electric bicycles here and everywhere that people ride all the time on the sidewalk very quickly. And that's what I thought it said, that there is an electric bicycle notation in the resolution, and electric vehicles. I don't know if that means scooters, but I'm just reading the resolution right now by Councilmember Blumfield, and it is in there. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Brandon. Go ahead, Adam Summer. Adam.
I just wanted to note that anybody, I think it was Ira, that it was who might be a cyclist. if you do understand road cycling, if you have bicycle clips on, it's very difficult, especially for kind of nascent bicyclists, to unclip and clip on. So it's much, much more dangerous than them coming to like a slow crawl. Once they have to unclip and try to get back in their clips in traffic in a city, you oftentimes see them kind of swerving. So I think that is what this harkens to, or I hope it does as well. I'm sure anybody that's been a cyclist, especially a road cyclist, has seen or felt the worry or trepidation of being out in the middle of an intersection without getting your clip on. So it is really, really scary. So I don't know if Ira wants to touch on that, just to clarify for anybody that has gone through that.
Thank you. Ira Gold.
There we go. I was not the person who commented on the cyclist. I'm not a cyclist, but I do enjoy riding my bike. I don't actually. If you can please let me know if this is appropriate. I have a question. I'm curious to see in the committee meeting when this was discussed, were these points discussed and what was kind of the consensus of the committee? I know that Barry, you mentioned it really briefly, but if I may, can we ask Barry what kind of the response and the reason if these points were brought up, what was the reason why the committee still voted for it? I'd very much be interested before I vote. Thank you.
Well, I think we were swayed by one of our committee members who is an avid cyclist for decades, and just basically described the reality of riding, and when you get to a stop sign, you don't, he would ride to work from Studio City to Glendale every day for years and years. And the reality is you don't stop at a stop sign. You look both ways, and if it's okay, you go. So, and if there is something coming, then you stop. But I think we were swayed by him more than anything with his practical experience.
Thank you.
Richard Niederberg, go ahead.
I just think that it's going to take quite a bit of public motorist education for them not to swerve right into a bicyclist that does not stop. I don't think we're quite ready for this, basically, to have this happen without that motorist education. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other hands, let's bring this to a vote. So, those in favor of motion 8A, the Board of Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC Sports Council File 21-002-S70 as City Council Resolution supporting Assembly Bill 122, AB 122, to amend the California Vehicle Code Section 22450 to allow riders of bicycles and electric bicycles to treat stop signs as yield signs. This motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement, CIS to Council File 21002-S70. We'll go down the list. Jeff.
Yes.
Peggy. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Andrew Silver.
Yes.
Kim.
No.
Adam Summer.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Julie.
No.
Scott.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Laura.
No.
Richard. Richard?
I said no.
Oh, okay. Sorry, didn't hear you. Karen.
Yes.
Ira.
No, respectfully.
Myself. Gosh, I'll say yes. Motion 9 to
9 to 5.
5. The motion carries. On agenda item 9A, government affairs. Once again, Barry Johnson.
So just a bit of background on this. This neighborhood council for years now has been against nearly everything the state has tried to do to take away local control. This is yet another one. They are trying to take away the city's prerogative, our planning department's prerogative on parking space allotment where we are building things. So I'll read you the motion. The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports Council File 21-002-S106, a city council resolution opposing Assembly Bill 1401, which would prohibit local governments from enforcing minimum automobile parking requirements for developments located close to public transit. While the elimination of parking minimums may reduce overall construction costs, oftentimes projects near high-quality transit corridors include only a limited number of affordable units and instead provide housing for high-income tenants who use the transit services provided far less frequently. The City of Los Angeles currently has limited policy tools to require the construction of a significant percentage of affordable units. And as such, AB 1401 would simply perpetuate the status quo. The unnecessary construction of market rate and luxury housing units, and thereby creating an added financial windfall for developers, exacerbating traffic and parking congestion in residential communities and areas intended to be served by high-quality transit, and leaving ridership numbers in these areas low. You're muted, Randy.
Right, sorry about that. Thank you, Barry. With that, going to public comment on agenda item 9A. We have public comment from Taylor. Go ahead.
Opposing AB 1401 is like shooting ourselves in the foot. Right now, the most beautiful section of Ventura Boulevard is in Studio City. But why? It's because we have a number of compact small businesses and historic buildings built next to each other with parking on the street. We would not have a downtown like that if we forced each and every one of those businesses to retrofit what current parking minimums require. We'd get an enormous strip mall instead. Think Laurel Tavern versus Residuals Tavern. Instead of adhering to arbitrary and unreasonable parking minimums, AB 1401 simply lets the market dictate how many parking spaces to provide. This helps with housing affordability, especially for lower income households. Why? Because one parking space costs $5,500 to build, an expense that is passed on to the renting families. The board even admitted that removing requirements lowers construction costs. The board fears that AB 1401 will not incentivize affordable housing production, but that's simply not true. San Diego reformed parking for projects near transit in 2019, and they have seen a significant increase in affordable housing production because parking requirements are the financial barrier to building affordable housing. Removing this barrier will naturally induce higher affordable housing growth. The motion states that this bill will perpetuate unnecessary construction of market rate and luxury units, but no housing is unnecessary. New market rate and even luxury units allow older units to be filtered down in the housing market, becoming naturally occurring affordable units. This is just like how older cars are much cheaper than the newest models. The board fears that AB 1401 will exacerbate traffic and leave transit ridership low. This makes no sense. You can't encourage mass transit use by building infrastructure for cars. When we ensure that a person moving in has a space to park, they will bring cars and drive them. Studies show that removing mandatory minimums actually improves traffic. Less traffic means more pedestrians, cyclists, and studies show that they spend more money in local businesses than drivers do. I urge this board to look at the research to understand how AB 1401 would benefit all of Studio City. I strongly oppose this motion.
Thank you. We have public comment from Puppet, go ahead.
Yes. Exactly. Listen to the intelligence you just heard. That's your leaders, the Democrats. And you're all loyal party members, and you're going against your party leadership. I'm turning all of you in that vote for this motion. Yes, look at you. Liberals, Democrats. How could you possibly be against such a nice law? Isn't it nice that you can build housing and not have any parking requirements, as long as you're within a couple of 1,000 feet of a bus stop? How reasonable that sounds. Yes. You didn't want Republican governors? No. You didn't want Trump? No. You want the vegetable Joseph Biden Jr. And you want a governor up north. You don't want a southern governor. You want somebody up in the Bay Area telling you how to live. Well, you got it. So you have to be good party members now. Obey. All of you obey. Vote no on this motion and obey your masters in Sacramento. Yes. Because Goat Puppet knows it's over. Goat Puppet will have to return back up to his ranch where he can eat fresh fruits and vegetables and run on 10 acres of land without you and your evil city council. So I support it because it will turn the cities into the final straw. The shitholes that you want to live in are now coming to fruition. No on the motion, and yes to world communism in all of the major cities in Los Angeles, Sacramento, San Diego, San Francisco, and San Jose, where most of the snobby pieces of shit live. You can never live in San Jose without meeting somebody.
Your time has expired. We have public comment from Peter Cole. Go ahead.
Hi. Less parking just drives the cars into the neighborhoods. And I know it's everything, we're all supposed to be walking, but because of all the crime and homeless in our neighborhood, we don't walk as much as we used to. So that's a fallacy. I think Los Angeles just wants to drive us out of our cars. So I'm really against that. We should have parking requirements that we should uphold the current parking requirements. Specifically, Sportsman's is planning to knock down the hotel and put up 500 units, I believe, with mixed use. That corner is going to be an absolute disaster if they get to reduce their parking requirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands for public comment. Public comment is now closed. Board comment regarding agenda item 9A. Before we take it to a vote, anyone? Let's see. Scott Mandel, go ahead.
Hi. I support the opposition as the motion is written. Supporting the motion is an opposition to what Sacramento is doing. As we heard, other cities have been able to do this. If it works for your council district or your city, there is nothing stopping them or you from lobbying for local control over how many parking spots there are. And the bill also mentions the word quality transportation. We don't have quality public transportation in Los Angeles, so that's a misnomer. So whether you support or you oppose the parking requirements, I hope we can at least support the opposition to having Sacramento dictate what we do here in Studio City, Los Angeles. We can lobby our own council people for the type of zoning that works for us, and we don't need Sacramento telling us or telling the entire state, for that hand, how we should handle our land use. Thanks.
Thank you. Andrew Silver, go ahead.
Thank you, Randy. So I have concerns about this, and the whole thing is kind of confusing because if Sacramento is taking away a state mandated, it's giving the city more control over parking mandates. So as Barry mentioned, there's been a real tug of war between control from the state versus having local control. This ordinance from the state gives back local control for parking. And you have to look at this in the bigger picture in terms of the city's initiative to create transit-oriented communities, which may or may not affect Studio City, but there's other parts of the city where there's transit hubs where this kind of freedom makes more sense. Another issue that has to be considered in the bigger picture is we're going to be looking at the housing element in the Southeast Valley Community Plan. And so it would be beneficial to the city and Studio City to have flexibility in determining, and we will have a greater voice if Sacramento passes this law. So we have to oppose this motion supporting the passage of the law. So I oppose this motion because we need to have the flexibility for our housing element and Southeast Valley Community Plan. And also the Ventura Corridor Plan is also being worked on. And so we want to have the flexibility to do what's right for our community with parking. I also want to point out that the LA Times opposed this by eliminating parking mandates. California would be making it easier and cheaper to build more homes near transit. This kind of construction is essential if we're going to alleviate the crippling shortage of housing, and it would be a big help for smaller, less expensive projects sited on pockets of undeveloped or underdeveloped urban land. There's a UC Berkeley study that looks at the cost of parking. It's the most detailed study that I've read, and I really recommend reading it. And it goes to help explain the auditor's report of people concerned about Prop Triple H. And so this UC Berkeley study is very detailed and talks to developers and looks at the empirical evidence and looks at the actual cost of providing parking. And so we need to have the flexibility to have parking that's appropriate for the location. And so that's why I'm opposing this motion. Thank you.
Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the legislation right now, and nowhere in the legislation is a guarantee there will be affordable housing built. I went on to Laura Friedman's website. I guess she used to be the mayor of Glendale, and now she's a state assembly. Most of what her essay wasn't about housing. It was about the environment. This is an anti-car bill. That's what I read on it. It's anti-car. State of California wants to be clean by 2045. This is one way to do it. Make it very difficult to operate a motor vehicle in the state of California. Also, Section 1, a major transit stop is defined by Section 21064-.3 of the Public Resources Code. No, major transit stop, huh? A, an existing rail or bus rapid transit station. B, a ferry terminal served by either a bus or a rail transit service. C, the intersection of two or more major bus routes with a frequency of service interval of 15 minutes or less during the morning and afternoon peak commute periods. That's all of Ventura Boulevard. What's going to happen if this passes? I mean, if 21064.3, if I'm reading it correctly, where there's an intersection of two or more major bus routes, not intersections of houses, not houses, what am I saying? It's my first meeting, I'm sorry. The intersection of two streets of routes, that's everywhere. So that means basically what I'm looking at here is that all brand new construction of apartment units don't require parking spots. I don't want this to become another San Francisco or another Manhattan where I have to park 5 blocks away to get to my apartment. I just don't see this as being viable. It was mentioned before, we're not Berkeley. We're Studio City. It's a different thing out here. Actually, that was mentioned during the bikes, but it works for here as well. So I am supporting the opposition to this bill.
Thank you, Brandon. Karen.
Karen, you're muted.
I said, I don't see developers lining up to build affordable housing like they should be. What I've just seen recently in Studio City is a building full of studio apartments starting at like $3,500 or $4,000. So that's number one. If eliminating garages is going to get them to actually build affordable housing, I'm willing to vote for that. I don't appreciate it. I think, we need more parking. I'm not anti-car. I think it's unrealistic to think that everybody's going to take public transportation in LA. So, but I would vote for this because I want them to build affordable housing. And I think as a city, we need to find a way to pressure these developers into doing it somehow.
Thank you, Karen. Ira.
So just to clarify, a yes vote on this motion supports the opposition to the. Okay, so
Thank you.
Double negatives confuse me. So I am a big believer of. Look, I'm pro-government, but there are some things that are that relate to specific communities and specific areas that the bigger governments just don't really have a really good pulse on. So I'm a big proponent of having local government regulate local areas and local neighborhoods. So I will be voting for this motion to oppose the Assembly bill.
Thank you, Ira. I'll just chime in and say, Brandon, I noted the same exact thing when looking at this. Nowhere is this really promoting affordable housing, number one. And number two, the reality of our city, as much as people want to compare it to cities like San Francisco, we'll get out of our car, we'll take mass transit. The reality is Los Angeles is 479 square miles, a giant mountain running range running through the middle of it. And we don't all have the luxury to live next to where we may work. And people nowadays change jobs. So for me anyway, I just don't see how it's realistic to assume that as much as some in the northern part of the state where the dynamic is different, that they can force upon us and just kind of ignore the fact that we don't live in small cities where it's much easier to walk or there is much more robust mass transit. And I agree with what Karen said. If this was somehow tied in and there was some demonstrable facts, or even this bill and the author are suggesting that this is going to support affordable housing, I'd be all for it. But I would encourage you to vote in opposition. With that, any other board comments? Seeing no hands, we'll take a vote. Jeff Hartwick.
Yes.
Peggy.
Yes.
Andrew Silver.
No.
Kim Clements.
No.
Adam Summer.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Richard Niederberg.
Yes.
Julie.
Yes.
Scott Mandel. Scott.
Sorry about that. Yes.
No problem. Lisa.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
And Karen.
No.
Ira.
Yes.
And myself is yes. 11-3, motion passes. 9B, go ahead, Barry.
All right, this is fairly straightforward, so I'll just read the motion. The Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports Council File 21-0451, which would instruct the Department of Water and Power and Los Angeles City Street Services to make recommendations for installing solar power panels for generation and storage of electricity on the public right-of-way, such as bus shelters, as part of the Sidewalk and Transit Amenities Program, STAP, using LADWP's Distributed Energy Resources, DER. Oh, and this motion is to be submitted as a Community Impact Statement, CIS, to Council File 21-0451.
Great, thanks, Barry. Public comment is now open on agenda item 9B. Please raise your hand, or if you're on a dial-in, please press *9 to raise your hand. We have public comment from Puppet. Go ahead.
A minute ago.
Yes, I mean, how can anybody oppose such a well-written motion? Isn't it wonderful? We always trust the DWP and who they hire. They go out and they get gang members, and then they turn them on the payroll to install your solar panels. And always buying the shittiest, cheapest fucking solar panel, and then marking it up to the city to pay 500% more than it costs. Made in China, says the DWP. I trust them. And you know you trust the DWP. Now, you wouldn't trust an outside provider from people who deal with Edison that buy American-made panels with a warranty, installation guarantees, and electrical upgrades at no additional charge. No, we don't want to do it that way, people. No, in the city, we do it the Lisa way. We do it the Paul Kerkorian goat way. We do everything the wrong way. It's a great idea, but it's going to be done by criminals. Goat Puppet supports it, because when Goat Puppet is in LA City, Goat Puppet loves to watch all the corruption. More indictments by the FBI, and more energy for all of you as they turn your power off and you learn how to live without electricity. What are you going to do without electricity? You're going to live like me, an animal. You're going to become a free-range vagrant while Goat Puppet thrives with his fellow animals. That was very well said. Yes. So do you support it? Unanimous vote is asked for. I believe that there will be no opposition.
We have public comment from phone number ending in 070. Go ahead.
Good evening, council members. What I would suggest is you guys vote to support if amended with two specific provisions. One of them is installation of American-made solar panels, and not the ones that are used with dangerous chemicals over in China with absolutely zero environmental regulatory actions. And most importantly, based on lessons that we've learned with the bus shelters currently, that any installation is to be done on street furniture such as bus shelters must first be corrected to ADA compliance. We don't want to go ahead and install a brand new solar system on top of these things and then go ahead and pay the contractor to remove it just to go rip up the sidewalk underneath it, costing the taxpayers a whopping $48,000 a pop just to redo the sidewalks underneath the bus shelters, and then paying the contractor to reinstall his own bus shelter. Thank you.
Public comment from Peter Cole, go ahead.
Just a little confusion in my pea brain here. It says to make recommendations for installing solar power panels for generation and storage of electricity. Solar panels only generate, that they don't store. So is there something else hidden in this? Like we're going to have giant batteries on every corner? I don't quite understand. Thanks.
It would connect into the grid via wire.
Got it. Thanks.
Seeing no other hands for public comment on this, public comment is now closed on agenda item 9B. Board comment. Brandon, take it away.
Yeah, just to clarify, we're voting for or against recommendations. They're not actually going to do it yet. Department of Water Power will report back with recommendations. Offload peak hour energy usage, generation of storage of solar, blah, 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 blah. So they're not going to do anything yet. We just are voting on whether or not they're going to instruct the DWP to come back with recommendations. And a side note, the writer of this is Mitch O'Farrell. So if anybody heard the beginning of this meeting in terms of the committee chairs, you'll know. I'm not going to mention it, but you'll remember that name. So just wanted to say that.
Okay.
Yes, you're correct. It's just recommendations.
Any other board comment on this agenda item? Seeing no hands, we will take it to a vote. So again, this is in support of having the city instruct DWP to give recommendations as it relates to solar panels. Jeff Hartwick.
Yes.
Peggy. Was that a yes?
Yes.
Sorry about that, Peggy. Okay. Andrew.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Adam.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Julie.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Richard Niederberg.
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Ira.
Yes.
And I am a yes. Motion carries. Great. 9C. Barry?
Yes, just a bit of background on this first. Currently, when you buy a soft drink, you pay at a restaurant or at a supermarket, you pay the California state sales tax. And as of right now, the state of California prohibits individual cities and counties from charging an additional tax on that soft drink. You may have heard New York City did this to discourage the drinking of soft drinks. The committee just felt that this was, again, Big Brother trying to tell you what you can and can't drink. I'm not an advocate for drinking soft drinks necessarily, but yes, this is also, you can bet that our city is behind it because it's another way to generate money. They just want more and more money. So that's why this motion says the board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council opposes Council File 21-002-72 made by Paul Krikorian, a city council resolution supporting Assembly Bill 1163, our Assembly member Nazarian, which would remove the statewide preemption of local soda taxes. So that's where the committee was coming from on this. We're already taxed on it. LA doesn't need an additional tax on it. and the health aspects of it are another matter. But again, it's more taxation, and this is against it.
Great. Public comment is now open on agenda item 9C. We have public comment from Puppet. Go ahead.
Yes, and I notice you humans love to imbibe these sugary, fatty beverages, yes. And your Sacramento junta that runs our state, that tramples on the rights of humans, wants an additional tax authority, yes. Well, why wouldn't you support it? Today, Paul the Goat Krikorian just authored a bill today and fought to disallow black people to sell flavors. Yes, we tell black people in the city of Los Angeles what they can and cannot smoke or sell. So why can't we tell you what to drink? Yes, well, we'll tax it. See how it works? Black people, ban. White people, we tax it and allow it. See the difference? So of course we'll support this law. Deregulating it, allowing cities to charge an additional tax on all those fat sodas that you buy, Coke and Pepsi and Dr. Brown's. Have you seen the price of a six-pack of Dr. Brown's delicious cherry soda, Randy? My God, they're up to $6.48 for a six-pack of these little sodas. I think that's too cheap. You should at least pay $8, $9 for a delicious six-pack of this fine-made soda. Sodas are too cheap. Goat Puppet wants them higher. So Goat Puppet supports the tax deregulation. Thank you, Sacramento. Keep up your good communist work, and maybe one day you'll actually wake these dumb sons of bitches up, and they'll start voting Republican sometimes, you know, to become a swing state. So they get all that money like Wisconsin does. But not you. You're in the pocket of the stupid. And a goat is.
Your time has expired. Seeing no other hands for public comment on agenda item 9C, public comment is now closed. Board comments? Brandon.
I was absolutely fascinated by reading this. It isn't what it seems. It's a SSB tax that Berkeley, Oakland, San Francisco, and other places have imposed. And basically what this does is repeal section 72848, I think it's called. Basically, it's the Keep Groceries Affordable Act of 2018, which sounds like it's reasonable. A nice flat line right across the board. And just preventing local municipalities from applying excise taxes to anything you want, like ground beef, maybe an excise tax on that because the mayor might be a vegan. So it seems reasonable until you dive deep into the genesis of the Keep Groceries Affordable Act of 2018 bill. It was actually a bully move by the American Beverage Association against California. They were going to bring up a measure on the ballot requiring a supermajority vote on any tax laws that were to be passed. Instead of a simple majority, it would be a supermajority. I think it's 2/3 vote. The compromise what Jerry Brown did was put this act in, and they dropped their measure. It was getting close to getting the necessary votes to get on the ballot. They put this into motion. The American Beverage Association backed off. It was a lobbying group basically bullying a government. And I'm a little mixed on this. I'm not a big fan of local governments being able to tax anything they want, but I'm also not against lobbying groups getting their way whenever they want. So I'm actually in favor of this because I kind of want to see the American Beverage Association get punched in the nose a little bit, to be honest with you. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Andrew Silver.
Thank you, Randy. So one thing I do agree with Brandon, that this was a negotiated thing with a lobby, and so that whole thing is kind of hinky to me. I generally oppose taxation, and I also don't support, this is in a way, a social engineering measure to using taxes to get people to behave in a certain way. Generally, I don't support that. But I read the legislative analyst review of it, and we've just come through a public health crisis, right? And this is, I'm looking at this as a public health measure. And we all have to work together to support public health initiatives. And that's how I'm looking at this. And that we should allow our local government to consider this as a public health measure, because we all pay for the public health costs of unhealthful habits. And there's additional taxes and restrictions on cigarettes. I see this as along the same lines as a public health measure. So I oppose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Jeff.
Yeah, I'm opposed to city taxation of sodas. It's going to hurt mom and pop shops. We're coming out of a pandemic. We need to help our local businesses. The tax is regressive. It's going to fall on the poor. I think that people would, if the tax is high enough, they're going to go to other neighboring cities and just buy their sodas there, whether it be Burbank, Glendale, Florence, or Culver City. So I don't think the city of LA should be in a position to increase the tax burden on its citizens. And I know Mexico established a national taxation on sodas back in 2014 because they have a huge obesity problem there. And actually obesity went up after the tax went into effect. And as to the health aspects, I mean, we shouldn't be eating lots of candy. We shouldn't be eating lots of, potato chips. Those things aren't being taxed. I think, this particular product is being singled out. So I would oppose this. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Public comment from Adam Summer. Not public, but board member comment, sorry.
Yes, I didn't know if there would be another opportunity, but I just wanted to encourage Barry, if he is considering it, to stay chairing this committee. I think he's doing a really cool job. He's bringing a lot of issues up for debate that we wouldn't usually have, that are really, really, really important and pertinent. So that's probably the only chance I'll get publicly to do that. So if you're considering doing that kind of workload, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Scott.
Hi, thank you. I agree with what Jeff said. I don't buy the public health crisis angle. There are a ton of things that we're not supposed to eat that we all eat. Where does it stop? It clearly seems to be a money grab, and everyone can say, oh, soda's bad, don't drink it. Well, a lot of people drink soda, and if you don't want them to drink soda, it's really none of your business. People can eat and drink and imbibe and ingest whatever they want. And I really don't appreciate governments trying to socially engineer what we eat and what we drink and start nipping at maybe what would be the lowest hanging fruit. And I'm sure Costco and Burbank would really appreciate it if LA started taxing beverages, and you would have a wonderful black market like you do with everything else that gets overtaxed in one municipality where it's not taxed in another. I think this is a terrible idea. It sets a terrible precedent, and we should vote against it. Thanks.
A point of information, Mr. President, if I may.
Yes, sir.
The Keep Groceries Affordable Act of 2018, which this Assembly bill will repeal, doesn't mention soda. It's about groceries. That the promotion of uniformity in the taxation of groceries is a matter of statewide concern, and therefore is not a municipal affair, as that term is used, blah, blah, blah. It's about groceries. They're saying sugary sweet beverages, but it can be anything. It can be cereal, it can be meat, it can be anything they want it to be. So to repeal the Keep Groceries Affordable Act of 2018 would be, to clarify, allow local municipalities to place excise taxes on groceries, not just sodas. I just want to make that clear.
Thank you for that. With that.
And one other point of clarification, a
Sure.
yes vote on this motion means that you do not want the city of Los Angeles to have the ability somewhere down the line to additionally tax your soft drink above and beyond what the state already taxes you.
Thank you, Barry. With that, let's bring this to a vote. Oh, Julie, go ahead. Yep, Julie, go ahead.
Thank you. I just had one more question that maybe Brandon or Barry can answer. I did read this a couple days ago and I can't find it now, but I don't think it's just soda, right? I think it even said like coffee and tea and some other things.
Yes, it can be any groceries. The Keep Groceries Affordable, Tax Affordable Act of 2018. I've since closed it on my computer, but something like that isn't about sodas. In fact, it never mentions soda in the act. The Act of 2018, it's groceries in general. The Assembly bill is targeting sodas because there have been SSB taxes allowed in Berkeley, San Francisco, Oakland. They have their own individual SSB taxes, and this is just trying to take it statewide. But to repeal the Keep Grocery Taxes Fair Act of 2018, whatever it was called, would be allowing municipalities to tax groceries, not just sodas. That's a clarification.
However, this
ahead,
motion is going to a city council file only. It's Krikorian's city council file. And in Krikorian's motion, he's only talking about soft drinks. So, you know, this is going to the city, not it's supporting the city's, or actually opposing the city's resolution supporting Assembly bill. But Krikorian's motion is all about soft drinks.
Thank you, Barry. With that, we'll bring this to a vote. Jeff Hartwick.
Yes.
Peggy.
No.
Andrew Silver.
No.
Kim.
Yes.
Adam.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Julie.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Ira.
Yes.
And I am a yes. 12-2, motion carries. Thank you. 9D.
So we were made aware by Councilman Krikorian's office that he has filed to initiate consideration of the Oil Can Harry property in Studio City for historical cultural monument status. And this motion would support initiating the consideration. And the motion goes as follows. The Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports Council File 21-0438 by Krikorian to initiate consideration of the property located at 11506 Ventura Boulevard, Studio City, California, 91604. Oil Can Harry as a city historic cultural monument under the procedures of section 22.171.10 of the Administrative Code, and instruct the Planning Department to prepare the historic cultural monument application for review and consideration by the Cultural Heritage Commission. This motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement, CIS, to Council File 21-0438.
With that, we will take public comment. If you wish to make public comment on agenda item 9D, please raise your hand or press *9. Puppet, go ahead.
Yes, and again, it's leading more and more people to wonder about Paul Martin Krikorian. Is he closeted or not? I don't know. But it would sure seem like he is closeted looking at this motion. Reading his first divorce file, you mean he was married before? Yes, and it's a public record. A rather fascinating read, if I must do say so myself. Beautiful woman. God, she was gorgeous. She winds up getting a divorce from Paul and marrying that big fat moo cow that he's married to now. It's just puzzling to me. And now he's preserving gay bars. Your councilman gets more interesting by the minute. And then, of course, we look up his bar license. What? It's suspended. But he hires all of our outside city council, all of our outside law firms investigated by the FBI. And, of course, your council does what? That's what I thought. Randy Fried Chicken never deals with that, never puts a motion on there. Andrew Silver knows all about it, and he's writing a book about it entitled My Struggle with This Corrupt City. Yes. So again, we will support this motion. If you vote against it, you're mean, you're homophobic, you're a racist, you're a con man, you're not a Democrat, you're the devil, etc., etc., etc. So we will simply ask for unanimous consent on this one, because if one of you votes no on this, I think you could become the running mate for Donald Trump in 2024. So any of you that vote no on this, thank you for your passion, Mr. Vice President-elect.
Randy, you're muted.
Try that again. Thank you, Brandon. Public comment on agenda item 9D is now closed. Seeing no other hands. So we'll take board comments. Scott, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Randy. I read the council file, and it incorrectly says that it is one of the few remaining gathering places. And from what I understand, it's closed, and there's already a buyer who is proposing to open up a jazz club. I don't know how that changes anything, but the council file and the picture that is on the council file also does not represent what it looks like today. The sign is gone, and it looks nothing like it is in the council file. Other than that, I don't see any harm in letting the study go forward and seeing what they come up with. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other board comment on this?
It doesn't seem like there's anything remarkable about the building itself. So I don't know why we're spending time on it, but and I looked it up too, and they may open Oil Can Harry's in another place. So it's almost like Oil Can Harry's is the people and, the culture, not necessarily the building, but I'm not that familiar with that. So.
Thank you, Karen. Ira?
So similar question to what I had on that first motion. What's the driving factor? I might have missed it. I apologize if I did, but what's the driving factor on wanting to make this a historical monument? I loved Oil Can Harry's. They had some of the most fun karaoke ever with the biggest selection I've ever seen. So it was a great place, but a historic monument, historic building. What's the driving force, really? Legit question.
That's why we want to see the review and consideration by the Cultural Heritage Commission, because they will vet all that, just like they did with the Weddington Golf and Tennis.
Richard Niederberg? You're muted, Richard.
It would seem that, for example, the Queen Mary down the Ventura Boulevard would have been a much better subject for this, for being a cultural monument. Thank you.
Any other board comment? Seeing no hands, we will. Oh, sorry. Am I seeing? Sorry, Julie. I'm now on my iPad. My computer died. Anyway, go ahead. Good to see you. You're muted.
I just wanted to say, I think this is very difficult because of the question that Ira raised. I mean, I guess we're saying like you can vote for it and no harm, no foul because they're just going to look into it. But it makes you wonder, you know, why they're doing it. And is it a play to slow down, sort of like what we're doing with Weddington? The whole historical monument really is because it's already bought by Harvard Westlake. It really throws a wrench in their plans. So is the motivation to throw a wrench in the new plans? It's a very confusing measure, but of course, who would want to vote against something that could? I don't know, it's a tough perception problem because I support everything that Oil Can Harry's was and everything that it stands for. I support 100%. But I find this motion just, the lack of information makes it hard to vote. That's just
more than anything, this is just supporting the councilman.
Okay, Lisa K, I think that's who I heard, yes?
Yes. So just real quick, it's been there, Oil Can Harry's has existed in the same location for 52 years. So it's one of the oldest establishments on the boulevard that didn't really go through much change. So I think that's what the motive is. But in the end, I think it's just a vetting process to have the Cultural Commission make a determination as to if it is or not. So basically, just a yes or a no to move the motion forward to look into it.
Thank you, Lisa. Anything else? Any other comments on this? Okay, let's bring this to a vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Peggy?
No.
Andrew?
Yes.
Kim?
No.
Adam?
No.
Brandon?
Yes.
Yes.
Julie?
yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Richard?
No.
Karen?
No.
Ira?
Yes.
And I am yes. 9-5, that passes. Thank you very much, Barry, for your work on this. So, last item. Discussion and possible motion. So actually I need to make a note that this is a motion being brought by me. So we'll see if it gets seconded and then we'll public comment and then vote. Board comment and then vote. So in order, you'll notice that several motions tonight included a line that says this motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement to council file such and such. So anytime the board passes a motion, typically we will email the motion of what we pass to concerning parties, whether it's someone at LADOT, the councilman's office, the mayor's office, etc. However, there is an actual city portal where you go in and you formally add we as a body would enter our community impact statement. So it's a part of the official record. So when the city council then is bringing something up for review, it's not as if, they have to remember an email that they received a week, a month, whatever ago. It's actually attached in a part of the formal record. And so in order to submit community impact statements
to the council file system and have our statements be a part of the official record, we have to pass a motion approving which board members are allowed to utilize the city portal to submit statements. So the motion, which is language directly from the clerk's office, is whereas a community impact statement is an official statement adopted by a neighborhood council on issues pending before the city council, its committees, or city commissions, whereas up to 5 board members can be authorized through a board resolution to write and submit community impact statements to the city clerk's online web system at cityclerk.lacity.org/CIS. Therefore, be it resolved that the Studio City Neighborhood Council authorizes the following board members to submit community impact statements, which have been passed by a vote of the full board. And then we'll state which board members, up to 5, we think, for submitting CIS. So is there a second on this motion?
Second.
Thank you. I think that was Brandon, yeah? Okay, so now we'll take public comment on agenda item number 10. If you wish to make public comment, please raise your hand. Otherwise, you can press *9 to raise your hand. Public comment by Puppet. Go ahead.
Yes, this is very simple. The 5 no votes on the last item will be your 5 CIS writers. Yes, imagine in the 21st century, in Studio City, Southern California, that 9, of course, are blind, but 5 people have actually read a motion explaining and displaying great intelligence like on that last vote. Simply amazing. These 5 board members go against political correctness. They take the risk, defying their Democrat masters in Sacramento. They'd be the perfect members to write the CISs. However, unfortunately, yes, Karen, I can see you know what's going to happen. Yes, they're going to put the usual criminals in there to represent you, like good old Lisa, always in the bag, never leaves her house without calling Paul. And then they'll put Randy in there, and they'll stick Scott in there maybe, and the old guy there, Richard Nothingberg, and then they'll bring somebody else back, maybe the drunk that used to be the president as an ad hoc. Yes. We're also tortured. We keep doing the same thing and keep expecting a different result. It's called Democrat insanity. It's called Studio City insanity. But we stay here. We have nowhere to go, do we? We don't have a car. We don't have a paycheck. We don't have a social life. And we're still mostly wearing masks. So we sit here and we try to contemplate. But if you want to do the right thing, the 5 no votes should be the CIS writers. They displayed great courage, and they would represent Studio City like vigorous sharks in the water, eating little tiny.
Your time has expired. Public comment by Barry, go ahead.
Yes, I was just going to say, as a committee chair, for instance, tonight you passed 4 government affairs motions from the Government Affairs Committee. So in the next couple of days, I will send those motions. In the past, I've sent them to Randy, the president, and our corresponding secretary, because between the 2 of them, the corresponding secretary sends them out and Randy signs them. But I send it in saying who it goes to besides the council file. So for sure, 2 of these people need to be Randy and our corresponding secretary, Jeff, most definitely. And I would say the 3rd should be our secretary, Brandon, and I wouldn't go with more than 3 personally. I think 3 is enough, but that's where all the committee chairs will be sending their motions that you passed and who it goes to, besides if it's a council file, it also is always going to go to Paul Krikorian, his chief of staff. When we do things having to do with Metro, we send it to like 18 different Metro board members. So it's very complex in the listing of who these get sent to sometimes. So again, that's our corresponding secretary, and Randy's the one signing them. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Any board comments? Who agree with Barry's idea? Some other ideas?
No, I definitely suggest that we add a couple of more names to the 3 that Barry did list. I think it just would be a lot easier on everyone involved to cover one another. And also, the committee chair has to provide all the email addresses to whom the CISs would be emailed to. So the chair would have to be fully prepared, making sure that everything is in place, all the information is correct. And by sending it to the president, in this case, you, Randy, it's just easy for you to sign and get it out with the corresponding secretary's help. But to have access to whomever you appoint, to have the access to submit the CISs, I think would be beneficial to everyone involved, and to do it in a timely manner.
Thank you, Lisa. I think it's a good point you raise. Personally, I would say I would echo Barry's suggestion of myself, Jeff, and Brandon, gentlemen, if you don't have any objection. And then I guess really if there's another board member who, if we add, Scott, if you add a fourth name, and then maybe an idea is just appoint all of the officers, because kind of inherent to being an officer is we carry a little bit of extra weight for on behalf of the board. So perhaps that might be an idea. So we would add Scott and Kim, if that's, are you both amenable to that?
My question, Mr. President, I understand the submit part of this. I don't understand the right to WRIT to write them, because it's, as Barry had mentioned, the committee chairs also write them. But the way this is written, it also looks like 5 board members are authorized to write and submit. So that's the part of this that I'm not understanding. If you maybe explain that.
Sure. But it has to be what has passed. You're allowed. It has to be statements that have been passed by a vote of the full board. And so in right, perhaps it should be written as format. This is the city's language, the clerk's language for this motion, not mine. That typically, and I'll volunteer Mike DeLazar. I'm pretty sure he would be willing to do this. He was incredibly organized, utilizing our Google Drive, and this is the format of what there's a template for a format of what the community impact statement looks like. And then it was kind of be a fill in the blank, the language of the motion or the community impact statement, as well as from the committee chair who it's going to. That's sent, turned to PDF. I digitally sign it, and then it would be uploaded via the portal. So I think that in terms of the word write, Scott, to answer if that answers your question, it's really more of a formatting versus writing.
Thank you.
Is that okay to add, if we add you, Kim, and Scott? Would you be agreeable? So then we have maximum coverage. So each of us literally would have our own login to the city portal. So I think that gives us maximum coverage if someone's out of town or if there is a CIS, because I can say that Elisa Karajian's comments are well noted, because there are times when in the last 2 years when several CIS were not submitted in a timely manner. Not submitted because there were only 2 people that were approved to file a CIS.
I don't mind being an alternate, but I do have
Okay.
a little concern as far as time constraints, especially if
Sure.
treasurer might take up a little more time.
Okay, fair point.
So
That's fair. Richard Niederberg, your hands up.
Yeah, I would think basically we also want to somehow come up who's going to be the most powerful advocate in our position on our CIS to back it up in front of the city council. We need to have somebody who do it well. Perhaps Jeffrey, basically, he's done many cases as a lawyer, so somebody's a powerful advocate to actually present it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. That, you know, assuming once the city resumes in-person meetings, it's worth noting that neighborhood council members, if we're actually going to a city council meeting, you know, it used to be that if you were just from the public, you would get a minute or so, and you'd stand up and speak at a podium, and members of neighborhood councils that were presenting, you would actually get 5 minutes to speak, and you could sit down behind a desk. So there historically was a little bit more access given if a neighborhood council is in person advocating for something, Richard. So that's certainly a valid point. But as it relates to this specifically for file, so it's something for us to talk about and consider moving forward. But in terms of this as a CIS, Kim, it's a valid point. As treasurer, you will have monthly expenditure reports to do. They're not that hard, but they do have to be done. So perhaps having you as a fourth or fifth alternate, maybe we can also pass that if there's another board member that's interested, whether it's Ira, Peggy, any of you, if anyone's interested. We can do that. Also, or we leave it as the three now, which is myself, Jeff, and Brandon, and we can always bring a motion forward again if we feel, for example, the three are not sufficient. We can agendize this in another month, you know, whether it's in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and say, okay, it's not working. It seems like it's not moving fast enough. Can we add someone else? That's also an option.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so then, so this will list the board members of myself, Jeff, and Brandon. So let's bring that to a vote, unless there's some another comment on that.
Mr. President, I actually might, in the future, I might throw my hat in the ring on that. I just want to see what these look like first, so I know what I would be getting into.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Julie, sorry, I didn't see your. Oh, Julie must have fallen off. Let me promote her back to a panelist. Sorry, Julie.
So I'll ask, excuse me, I'll answer Ira's question real quick. So it's a very simple process, but you have to be very organized in terms of having the committee's agenda that is submitting the CIS. So let's take the transportation or the government affairs rather agenda into consideration that we passed tonight, right? So you have their agenda because it'll list their item numbers. So let's say 6A, B, C, D. And then you would have the board agenda at your desk. And then you have to actually familiarize yourself with the drop-down menu that the city clerk has listed. So let's say in my case, last month with my cannabis CISs, you would have to go into the drop-down menu and look for the cannabis department and click on that. And then that way you just like input information, basically cutting and pasting the motion or the CIS statement and then submitting it. So it does take a few minutes, but no longer than 10 minutes.
Mr. President, I have a question. The upcoming core training next week, is that included in the core training for neighborhood councils?
My understanding is the first session for this core training that's coming up that Gibson had mentioned will not touch on the CIS system. It will touch on things like the Brown Act, most notably. I believe there will be a future training, and actually I think it's done by the clerk's office. So certainly tomorrow, I'll CC you guys. I can send an email to Paula, who is our NC, who we liaise with in the clerk's office that handles funding. For example, the funding side of things, and I'll touch base with Gibson, and we'll see who's going to provide the training for filing the CIS. And of course, as Lisa just said, she's done it. She just did it. And so I'm sure that find time offline and run through it together and make sure that everyone's on who has access is comfortable with being able to do it. Okay, anything else? All right, let's take that to a vote. So we'll just do a quick, just do this one more time, sorry.
So to be clear, we have Randy, Jeff, Brandon, Ira, correct?
Yes, that works for me. So, Jeff.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Peggy.
Yes.
Andrew.
Thank you for stepping up. Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Adam Summer.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Julie.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Ira.
Yes.
And I am yes. That passes. Thank you very much. Again, everyone, welcome to the Neighborhood Council. Thank you. I will be in touch with everyone between now and our next meeting. We'll talk committees. We'll talk any questions you have. You should all have your SCNC emails. Feel free to email me any thoughts, comments, questions that you might have. And with that, your first meeting is under your belt. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Night.